As many of you know, we recently sold our 2018 Newmar Baystar 3124. This was a pretty wild process, and so today we wanted to share some of the things we learned while doing this and also share with you some of the crazy questions that we got asked. So we hope y'all enjoy this video, and here we go. Okay, so the first thing I learned is don't go cheap when you're trying to sell your RV. Using things like Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace, those are helpful tools, but I think you really have to go to RV Trader. That's where people go to buy their RVs. Even dealers use that site, so it tells you that it's a good site. And also, don't make the mistake that I made. I bought their cheapest package, or I should say, I bought their middle package to start with, after Jessica informed me not to. She said, just go ahead and buy their Mac Daddy package. Well, I ended up running out of time on that first package that I bought, so I ended up buying the Mac Daddy package anyway, which if I would have just bought it up front, I would have never had to pay again. So that cost me like another $70, so that was a lesson learned. So passing that on to you. But I think RV Trader is the heavy hitter. I mean, that's where you're going to get your most views. You are going to get some dealers reaching out and try to lowball you, so be ready for that as well. That does happen a lot, and it'll piss you off. But overall, though, I mean, you will get some real interest. You'll get some real people to get there. And then you'll also get some crazy questions, which we will share as we get down into here, too. And you do get some wild ones. So now, I wanted to share that piece, but now we'll move on to the rest of the video and start talking about the different platforms and what we think about the selling process. And hopefully this will help you all. Other ways to sell your RV. The first one is by consignment, which is probably something I think we wish that we would have done. But overall, it does make the process easier. The downside of consignment is obviously the dealer is going to get their cut off of your consignment. So typically it's like a 10 to 20% fee. And we did also find one of the other downsides to some of them, not all of them, is that your RV has to be completely paid off. Now, even the ones that you don't, they will help with financing. Even if they come in to trade something in, they'll even take their trade most of the time, just like it's a RV on their lot. And I do think it helps you get a lot more exposure out there because people are really coming to the RV dealers to look to buy something. And whereas on RV Trader, you get a lot of hit and miss.
And you're spending your weekends showing it every time.
Yeah.
Every weekend there was somebody wanting to come, and it's not like a quick 5-minute walkthrough. It's like an hour. You know, it takes like an hour out of your day every time.
Yep, that is very true. So why not just give the dealer that 10, most of them I think we're around 10%. Why not just give them that money and let them do the work? Not to mention they've got financing in-house to where, when we were dealing with people, they were going to have to either, get their own financing or pay cash, which is exactly what the person did that bought it. He bought it with cash, which, man, I'd love to have that much money just to throw out on an RV in cash. That would be nice. But
I was under the assumption that it had to be paid for to do consignment. That's the only reason I didn't go with it. So if you can find one that will take it with a loan on it,
and I did confirm that Lazy Days will take them even if they've got a loan on them. They will take it. They'll pay off the loan first. So that was something that, had I known prior to hand, we probably would have done it because it would have saved a lot. And honestly, I think it would have sold a lot quicker too, just because of the exposure you get on these massive lots like that. And like I say, just you got the people there that are going to push and try to sell. Now, the downside of consignment is I do think that the dealer is not going to try to push your RV as much as say they are one of their own because they're only getting a small percentage of it. But if somebody comes looking for a motorhome like we had, then hopefully that would catch their eye and then they could push it on to them. So that was one option. The other option that we looked at was trading, and this would have been the quickest option to just get out of everything. Yeah. So that would have been the easiest way out, And again, there's pluses and negatives no matter what route that you take, but
everybody knows that when you go and you trade something in, you're losing money.
Yeah. You're never going to get that fair market value on a trade. It's just the way it is. They're going to try to lowball you and get as little as they can out of yours and sell whatever you're trading in for as much as they can for the maximum profit. That's just RV dealers. We all know that.
Yeah. If you're trading, you better have equity.
Yeah. But that is an option if you're wanting to make a quick trade. Exactly what we did with our first RV. We took it up to Michigan during the winter time, and we did get a good deal because there was snow on the ground when we went. They weren't selling a lot of RVs, so, but it's still we probably didn't get as much
We
for ours
lost,
as we
yeah.
could if we would have
Oh, yeah.
sold it outright. You know, that's just the way that it is. Or even on consignment, I think you're going to get a whole lot more for it than trading in. But keep trading. You know, if you, like I say, if you got to do something quick, trade in is definitely an option. So now we'll move on to some of the other things that we learned during this process. And I do have some notes down here beside me, so you might see me looking down a little bit. But this is the modifications on your RV. Now, I came into this, and I'm going to start off. The first thing that we changed, and we'll get into some questions on this too, but we took out the dinette set to put in my workstation. Now, I've stated that in the listing on RV Trader. I stated that in the video that we had posted up in multiple spots of that video. But let me tell you what, I did not realize that dinettes were such a big thing, but people obviously love their dinettes. That was, and I was actually going to use this as one of the questions that we got asked a lot, but that was probably the most question we got asked is, where's the dinette? And did you save the dinette to be able to put back in? I even offered to buy people a dinette to put back in it, but they just couldn't picture it without having a dinette in it. So if you
we thought we were upgrading it, honestly.
Yeah, I thought the desk was an upgrade.
Yeah, we thought that would be a great add-on, but it was not.
Yeah, and I mean, some of the stuff we're going into, the big thing is what you think is an upgrade is not somebody else's upgrade.
No.
So, you know, it's just something to keep in mind. So going forward, any modifications that we make, and we have made some already to the new rig, we keep the old stuff so we can put it back to the way that it was if somebody wants that. But the dinette was a big one. That was the most asked question we got was, where's the dinette and could we put it back in? That was the most question.
We did a lot of modifications on that. I mean, it was...
We changed that whole area.
I think that was the biggest problem.
Yep. But with that being said, the recliners that we actually got from Larry and Alice from Downsizing Makes Sense, people love that upgrade. So the Flex Steel bunk bed kind of couch that they put in the Newmars, I don't care what anybody else says, those beds suck. I don't care if it's a Newmar or not. Those couches,
And
the bed, and everything are awful. It's like sleeping on a jail cot is what I thought of it being.
Even sitting on it was bad.
Yeah, so I had no use for that, and everybody did really like the recliner upgrade. They thought that was a really good one. So, and that's something we always want in anything that we pretty much have is some sort of recliner. So as you can see, we're sitting on them now.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. So that was a positive upgrade, or at least one we got positive feedback on. Another one, and this one was a hard one for me, was our solar and lithium upgrade.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, people picked that one apart, and the reason being, it's not, you know, Mike did an awesome job installing that. There, you know, that system was flawless. We had one issue with it the whole time. He fixed it, and it was flawless after that. But people were afraid of it because they don't understand. And I get it. You know, if you're buying a new or used RV, you don't know if something's wrong with that or not. So, you know, that's a big thing if something is wrong with it. But it really did scare off a lot of potential buyers. We actually had people say that they would have bought it if it wasn't for that, that they were afraid of it. So, you know, what I thought was a huge upgrade, a lot of people saw as a downside. And actually, the person who did buy it, and his name was Patrick, he saw it as a true upgrade. But he's also a very hands-on, you know, guy. So, you know, I knew that it would probably take somebody like that after a few people to buy it. And
I will say this. I believe a lot of the people that was scared of it was older couples.
Yeah, it was a lot of the elderly. Yeah, very elderly couples. And I get it, you know. They're wanting simple plug and play. Yeah, and for them it's a very new concept. So yeah, that's a good thing to mention. The other thing was the Truma water heater system, which that was our favorite upgrade in the whole RV. I mean, over everything we ever done was, and even in the one we got now, eventually I'll probably put a Truma back in this one. But it scared people again because it's a newer thing and people didn't understand it. You know, people's like, well, I really would just rather have a propane, you know, and you know, it's just I guess just the newness of it and the uncertainty of it kind of scared people. You know, we got a little bit of bad feedback on that, you know, and I was really surprised by that because that is by far the best upgrade we ever did on our RV. So, you know, it is what it is, but you know, just
we had a lot of questions about our refrigerator not being propane too.
Yeah.
Come to think about it.
Yeah, and that's a new concept that a lot of RVs are going to.
That was there before.
Yeah.
I mean, that was...
Yeah, and like I say, that, well, it was a new refrigerator, but it was always...
solar panel on the top of it was run by that little solar panel on the top of it.
But, it's just one of those things, I mean, and now propane refrigerators are becoming less and less in the RV. Our current new RV is a 12-volt refrigerator. That's what a lot of them are going to now. So, it's just stuff people's going to have to adjust to. But I think because we were a little bit ahead of the curve on that, it threw people off some. And then the other one that we did get a lot of positive feedback on was the new mattress that we put in for the bed. Because, as everybody knows, RV mattresses suck. So, that was something we got a lot of positive feedback on. But my biggest thing I want to make a point of here is, even if you do these great modifications, it may be great for you, but when you go to sell it, it could be a deterrent for other people. And I'll be honest, I marked my RV up based on some of these upgrades that we had done, and for some people, they just didn't see the value of it. So that's something to keep in mind. I guess one man's treasure is not another man's need. That's what it boils down to. Okay, so overall, I will say this process was very time consuming and very stressful for both of us, because we were constantly getting pulled into showing it, doing different stuff, trying to constantly keep it clean and everything. For me, if I was going to tell somebody that was thinking about selling it, I would say try to go the consignment route. I think for me that would be the top way. And if you want to sell it on your own, then I highly recommend RV Trader. I will say that. But if I was going to sell another one, if I was going to sell this one, it would be on consignment. Last chance scenario is I would trade it in for something else, but trading would be a far third option. I think the consignment for me would win out on the next one, just to get out of a lot of the stuff, and I'm okay with handing over some of that money. But with all that said, we will now jump into some of the crazy questions that we got asking.
But before that,
go ahead.
I want to say, will we ever try to sell an RV on our own again?
No, I don't think so.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I don't think so. It was a process.
Never again.
Yeah, and now we'll talk about some of the questions that we got, and I swear I think people was smoking some of the wacky backer when they called. It was some of them was kind of entertaining, but we'll get started on them now. All right, so here are some of the crazy questions. So as I stated as we started into the video, we got asked about the dinette at least 50 times. That was the most asked question. And again, that was after I posted it in the video, posted it in the pictures, said that the dinette was removed for a computer desk, and still got hit with that question so many times. But you've already heard that story, so I won't beat that one to death. The second question that we got asked that kind of caught us off guard was if the tag and title were still active. Like,
No.
was the registration still active?
Yeah.
And that one, and it was, so, it didn't matter, but it caught me off guard, because I'm like, why do they care if my tag is still active? Were they planning on maybe taking it and running through some speed light cameras, thinking it'd be funny, or, I'm not exactly sure where they were going with that one, but I was like, okay, and I wasn't going to let somebody take off with a tag anyway, although I ended up like an idiot, did leave it on here, but the guy we sold it to is a good guy, so I wasn't worried about him. But yeah, just, you never know what people's going to ask. But now for number 3, I'm going to let Jess talk about this one, and this was probably one of the wilder ones.
This one's my favorite. I have to talk about this one. This one's my favorite. So they wanted to know if they could deflate the tires and get it into the regular size garage.
Now,
and we put it in there and told them how tall it was.
Yeah, and the RV is 12'7". Their garage was 10'6". They had been putting a travel trailer in it, and they wanted to deflate the tires to be able to back the RV in. I was like, I don't think you're going to get that many feet.
Just the tires. Deflate the tires and roll it in there on flats to get it in. Are you kidding? Are you crazy?
Yeah, I don't think that.
I would have liked to have seen that.
Yeah, I would have paid money. I would have probably given them about $10,000 back to come up and watch them do that after they paid me for the RV.
They could have deflated the tires and then drove it in there and still raked off all the solar and the
air conditioners and everything. Yeah, there's no way you were going to gain over 2 feet. But they said they had done stuff like that in the past, so that even blew my mind more. I've never heard or seen anything like that. It's pretty wild. And I'm going to look at my notes here. One of the next questions was, I actually had a guy call me from Oklahoma, and he stated that he wanted me to drive the RV to Oklahoma for him to look at so he could consider purchasing it. Now, guy was serious. I mean, he was very, very serious, and he said that his brother-in-law had just purchased an RV doing the same thing, and I asked him, I said, now, are you wanting to put some money down to hold this for my trip? Or no, he just wanted me to drive up there on my own time and just to see if he wanted to look at it and purchase it,
And we're in Tennessee.
Yeah, and I'm like, what the hell kind of question is that? Are you insane? But I mean, he really thought that this was how this should work. And of course, I told him he could come down here and look at it, and he didn't want to make that drive. So that right there tells you he obviously was not very serious about it anyway. But, that just blew my mind that somebody would ask you to do that. But, it is the new world, so I guess people don't care to ask for anything now. And what was your next one that blew your mind?
A big one was, has there ever been any dogs, any pets in the RV? I have to say, I would have to highly guess maybe 90% of RVers have dogs.
Yeah, or at least some animal.
I mean, we have a nursing mother rabbit and her baby's next to us.
She's right here right now in our new RV.
Right now. I mean, what kind of question is that?
And that is, I mean, I would have to imagine it's a very, very high number of people who at least have a pet in their RV. I mean, I'm not going to say I've definitely seen people without pets, but it is very, very few and far between that have never had a pet in their RV. And, and if you look at our channel, I mean, even, our videos and stuff like that, all of our dogs are always shown in them. So, but yeah, it was really surprising. I actually had a guy that said he wanted to buy it and then asked the dog question and walked away, and whatever, that's their own business. But, it just really surprised us, the few people that did ask that.
I've got one, though. Remember the guy that kept calling every week to ask you if you still had it for sale, but he wasn't interested in buying it?
That is a good... So, yeah, this was sort of frustrating. Super good guy. I mean, nice to talk to and everything, but he came down, him and his wife came down, looked at it, gave him like a 2.5 hour tour. I mean, they asked so many questions. Called me over the next week saying that they were still interested, going to get it and everything. And, just kept on and on and on. And then got into the habit where he would text me once a week and ask me, was the RV still for sale? And of course, I would respond back and say, well, are you interested? No, I'm just wondering. And finally, after I did sell it, he actually texted me the day that we sold it. We were at the bank with the new owner, and he texted me and asked me if we still had the RV. And I said, no, actually, we're here signing papers to sell it now. And his response was, oh, well, I figured you'd sell it. He said, but I was interested in it. So, just somebody that's full of crap. I mean, and like I say, he was a nice guy. I mean, we had some good conversations and stuff, but, just somebody wasting time. And that's the problem with selling on your own. I mean, you really do get those people that just, they just want to waste your time. Yeah. They just want somebody to talk to.
I had a friend once that just would go on Sunday to open houses just to go. And I'm like, why would you do that? Well, I just want to look in other people's houses.
I'd go for the ones with the free food, maybe.
You're wasting that realtor's time. Really? You're really going to do that?
Yeah.
I don't know. People are crazy.
So, anyway, we hope this does help some people out. I mean, it was an interesting process. We learned a lot from it. We learned what we would do in our next time if we ever get in a situation again.
Yeah, we won't sell it. We won't be selling it.
Yeah, we'll just be doing consignment, or worst case scenario, we'll trade it. But I don't think I would ever try to sell again on my own. But thank you all so much for watching. And leave comments down below if you've sold something like this and you got some crazy questions. Tell us what some of your questions were.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Or if, what was your situation? Did yours go really fast? And I've seen that happen. Dreaming Out Loud, Paul and Megan, they listed their van up for sale, and it was going in like 2 or 3 days, so it can happen. So it can work out good that way as well. But this was our experience, and we hope this helps others out, and we will talk to y'all later. Bye.